Welcome back to La Coalición Podcast, your favorite podcast about immigrant rights and all the work that goes into protecting them. I'm Hector.
I'm Yazmin.
And I'm Eddie.
And we're all together to talk about probably one of the most important moments in history to happen in our lifetimes after the pandemic. Not since LBJ has a sitting president withdrawn from the race for a second term from his own party. And now President Biden is out. He said in his statement, "While it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and my country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." So, Eddie, where were you when this news dropped, and what was your first reaction? You actually texted it to me. Like, that's how I first got the news.
Yeah, I mean, I was refreshing my Twitter page all the time to get the latest news on this. And I think I was just hanging out at home when I saw this, and I was like, no way. First, I saw it from a reporter. Then I went to Biden's page, and I realized it's legit, it's real. And I just immediately texted to the group chat that we're in for policy. And yeah, it's kind of surreal, honestly, because he said at first that he was going to be a one-term president, but then he seemed hell-bent on continuing to go for the second term. And I think he truly believed that he could have beat Trump, right? And I think that the reality finally set in after weeks and weeks, and maybe COVID also got into his brain and said, actually, homie, I don't think you can actually go through with this for the next 5 or 6 months or so.
Definitely. Yeah. Yaz, where were you?
I was also at home. I think I was cooking. Yeah. And then, I scroll through Instagram and I see someone posting. I was like, huh? Like, I literally was like, what? Like, and then, I checked, to see if it was real because I was like, maybe they're trolling. But yeah, I was just like, it's just crazy how, that happened. I mean, I was kind of hoping it would, honestly, but I just didn't think it would actually happen this late into, we're in, July's almost over.
Yeah.
So I just honestly didn't think it was a possibility because I was like, I don't know if he's going to win, in November. There was a lot of doubts, but yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, no, it was definitely out of nowhere. I know you, like you said, you texted it to our group chat. I read it, and the first thing I did was like, oh shit, he's not endorsing Kamala Harris, which to me was like, maybe there was things going on behind the scenes. When Gavin Newsom, who was in front of every camera he can possibly get, was negotiating, I'll go out and defend you as long as when you drop out, you don't endorse Harris. He does so later. In a statement, officially endorses Harris, and right now it's safe to say that she is more than the presumptive nominee. She secured the required number, I think it's 1976 delegates for the nomination. And to be honest, I mean, Harris is not my first choice. But when I saw, I'm part of the coconut hive right now. I love the meme. She's officially a brat. Charlie XCX has declared her a brat. I told Tamara next time we need to have Piña Kamalas. Next time we need to have Piña Kamalas, which makes perfect sense. It rhymes with colada and also the coconut aspect of it. But I'm in the coconut hive right now. But yes, what do you think about Harris as the candidate right now?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of young people are very excited for this. But it's all problematic. Harris, her background and everything, I feel like it makes it really difficult because a lot of people are like, oh, she's a woman, person of color, and they get very excited off of that, but also what does she stand for? So It's kind of luckily my friends, we've all been talking about it, and we've been people are kind of putting her on this pedestal. People are basically becoming obsessed over the fact that she's now running for president, and it's wait, did we forget everything she's done in the past? Did we forget her background, everything? It's just complicated. But I feel like a lot of people are now more optimistic about what could happen in November. I've been seeing a lot of people just supporting her, and I've been seeing also, I think there was a TikTok for Chappell Roan when she posted Phenomenon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was
Eddie
funny.
doesn't know who Chappell Roan is because he doesn't want to listen to girl pop.
I played
Chappell
one
Roan.
song of hers last time we had a meeting, and
That's
cool.
true.
It was about,
That's true.
Yeah.
No, I was just she has a young team that's helping her with, her campaigan. So
yeah, all of these memes, none of this was happening for President Biden.
Mm-hmm.
And in a day, all of this has dropped for Harris. Like I said, Charlie XCX has crowned her a brat officially. Yeah. The campaign has been using that actual the green background, and it says Kamala instead of brat. They've been on it. They've been on the social media game, and it's kind of the excitement that people saw with Obama. Mm-hmm. Maybe not to that level, but it's getting there. I want to read some of these stats because I thought they were so interesting. As of yesterday, she's raised $126 million. Of that money raised, $1.4 million came from like grassroots small dollar donors. The campaign received nearly 2,000 applications and 100,000 volunteer signups in the first 24 hours since Sunday. So that's insane. Like, people are excited about her. But I think what intrigues me is something that you're saying too. I think when you go back to 2020 and that sort of failed attempt to get the Democratic nomination for president, then part of her problem was that her record as a district attorney, people were calling her Cop Kamala, like that was problematic for her in a time of Black Lives Matter and George Floyd. The context is so different now. Part of that's just the difference between running in a primary as in running in a general, but the political context is so different. But Eddie, what do you think of Kamala as the candidate, considering that background, but now being in such a different context?
Back then, when she first ran, she was really unpopular. If you remember the first few primaries, she polled really, really poorly, and I think she was like fourth or fifth in Iowa. And I think it's interesting that the Democratic Party, for now 2 elections, has essentially run their own candidate, the party itself, and less of a democratic overall. People in the U.S. electing their candidate, right? I think we all remember what happened in Iowa back in 2020, and then even before that, right, the party kind of coalesced around the more moderate candidate, kind of pushed out Bernie a little bit. Yeah. Biden got the nomination after Obama made a couple of phone calls. Pete dropped out, and essentially the party kind of took control of the election right there.
Yeah.
This is something really similar. Biden drops out from pressure from internal party members and also the public. We all were watching him slowly deteriorate mentally, physically, and it was just watching a slow train wreck. And so I'm glad that he stepped down. I'm not happy at all about Kamala. I think that she's really problematic, maybe just as bad or if not worse than Joe Biden when it comes to international policy.
Yeah.
She is a strong supporter of Israel, a strong donee of AIPAC money, and her record is obviously really bad when it comes to civil rights, criminal justice. So yes, it's not Trump, and that's something that I'm looking forward to. Is we're somebody that works in this space. I've heard so many traumatic stories about organizers that were organizing during the Trump administration and how difficult that was, and just operating under emergency reactionary situations. And that's not the kind of place where we can actually do some good work and move ahead, right? So shutting down Adelanto if Trump was president, probably impossible.
Yeah.
Right? Having Kamala as president, slight window is open here, but it's going to take a lot of effort still. So that's kind of my viewpoint. I'm probably very different than maybe you, Hector, on this situation, but that's okay. That's what this podcast is here for, to have some dialogue and kind of understand where other people are coming from, and Yaz as well. So
definitely, yeah. And I think that's what I'm like hanging on to. Like, even when you said the work that we're doing here at ICIJ, Trump comes in and that's like immediately put on the shelf because we have to jump into rapid response and just reacting to every insane, crazy thing that his administration is doing. With Kamala Harris, at least we have those little open windows of opportunity to continue some of this work. And Trump world and MAGA world is like in chaos. Like that episode of The Office when Dwight starts like a fire and everyone is losing their minds, that is Trump headquarters, because they've spent millions of dollars. They've gone all of this strategy into running against one person, and that person is gone. Like, they have to completely reinvest their whole campaign in someone else. And so I think that sets Kamala up in like an interesting position, certainly one we've never seen. But there's excitement for her, and we're gonna see what's gonna come in the next months. And we get a second Veep stakes. We are now in a race to see who she is going to pick as her running mate. Before we get into that, I do want to get into some of the reporting that went into that pressure campaign that you were talking about of getting Biden to step aside, because it's really interesting to me. So according to NBC, senior campaign aides weren't told about the decision until a minute before that letter went out on Sunday. So I can imagine that was also that episode of The Office where Dwight starts to fire, everyone losing their mind. And as late as Saturday, Biden was telling his campaign that it was full steam ahead. So this is really something that was immediate. I mean, it was surprising to me when he sent that to me. We were not expecting that this weekend. So it was crazy. And it really came from his top advisors, Mike Donnell and Steve Ricchetti, who came to him with new polling from the battleground states and said, bro, there's no path to victory here. Like, this is not going to happen for you, and you really need to make a decision about that, because it hurts not only him, not only the party, but a lot of the down ballot candidates who are, I mean, we saw in the primary, a lot of progressive voters did not come out to vote because they're not actually excited about the president. That means they're also not voting for the congressperson, for their senator, for their local officials. And that becomes really problematic. One of the things I love, though, so it's been heavily reported that Nancy Pelosi was orchestrating this sort of behind the scenes pressure campaign. And people who were familiar with those conversations that she was having with the president said that, we could do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. And starting this week, it was going to start to be the hard way. Like, it was going to be more out there, more visible, more outspoken, and more embarrassing for the president. You were going to have major leaders in the Democratic Party coming out and telling the president he needs to step aside. I love that. I think that's so intriguing to me. Like, this whole behind the scenes campaign that was happening to get the president to come to this decision. What do you think about that, Eddie? What do you think actually led to the president saying, you know what, I need to step aside?
I think it was the polling. I think that Biden, his ego was getting the best of him. And I think that while he had committed to just one term for obvious reasons, first and foremost, there should be an age cap to running for president, please. The Packers have an age cap for their president, and we're a football team. Come on, guys. The Packers got it straight, and the American people don't. Anyways.
I love how Eddie doesn't know who Chappell Roan is, and I don't know who the Packers are.
Okay, we got to do a whole podcast on just this. But I also wanted to add some context to this, too. Yeah. Obama, and it's been reported lately, and I just saw this yesterday, that he didn't believe that Kamala was going to win.
Oh, really?
And that's why he hasn't endorsed her yet. He still hasn't endorsed her.
He hasn't endorsed her. At first, it was Nancy Pelosi hadn't either until yesterday or Monday, I believe. And at first, it was that because they were party leaders, they couldn't do so because the delegates had not voted yet. They were voting as of Sunday night and going into Monday. After that, Nancy Pelosi said the delegates have voted. She has the majority. She's going to be the nominee, so I can officially come out and endorse. But President Obama hasn't.
He still hasn't. And what it sounded like, he was looking at Mark Kelly. Senator Kelly from Arizona, who's the former astronaut, as his choice to be president, to be the nominee.
Really?
Yeah. So that was really interesting to me. I think, Obama has his own opinions, and, he's I don't know, one of the worst in my opinion. Kind of growing up in that era and seeing how everything unfolded. Yeah. A lot of the hope that was kind of pulled from underneath us. Hopefully that doesn't continue. But it's empire, so what can you do? Yeah. The Clooney issue, like when he came out and he put out that statement, that was the beginning of the end, I think. Right. When celebrities start talking about who are famous for endorsing you, for donating to you, hosting parties, fundraisers for you, and they come out and say, actually, I don't think you're it. Yeah. All these billionaire donors as well coming out and saying that, like, we're pivoting to donating to congressional and Senate races and not the president. I was just watching all of this unravel, and Biden was still sticking to his guns, saying it's going to be me. So I'm curious what the final straw was. Maybe it was the polling. Yeah. Maybe it was something else. I think maybe we'll find out after the election. But yeah, it was kind of watching like a good HBO show. Yeah. Watching everything.
Yeah. So do you think it was that willful ignorance or the ego of President Biden? I mean, I think it was willful ignorance on behalf of the campaign paired with the ego of President Biden. I saw reporting from Politico that said that they had conducted polls in the swing states. Those were the polls that they took to the president this weekend to kind of say there's no path to victory. But before that, they hadn't conducted polls in 2 months, which is ridiculous. Like, even after the debate, they weren't conducting polls. And it's expensive. I mean, polls with good sample sizes in each of all of these swing states. I think 7 are the ones that are like in contention right now, probably upwards of, tens of thousands of dollars. But this is a really well-funded campaign. So you think it's just that willful ignorance and a combination of the president's ego?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I can't believe, like, after watching the debate too, like, those are our options. Like, literally, I felt, like, embarrassed. I was like, I'm cringing. I can't keep watching this. Like, how is this our only option? Yeah. Like, how did we let it get to this point, honestly? Like, this should have never happened. Like, there should have been someone else running for president. It shouldn't have been Biden. Like, these decisions should have been made way before March. Yeah. And I just feel like, it's ego. I mean, he's saying, like, he's doing this for democracy and, like, he's, stepping back for America and trying to save, whatever there is left. But
Right, yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's his ego.
What did you think of his address from the Oval Office yesterday?
um,
There's one line in there that I did like. He said, I revere this office, but I love my country more. I think that was excellent speech writing on behalf of whoever wrote that. I don't know if it was excellent delivery on behalf of President Biden, but yeah, what did you think about that address yesterday?
Actually, first I listened to it because I was driving, so I
Okay.
couldn't actually
I did
watch
too.
it. Yeah, so I listened to it, and then I went home and I wanted to watch it because I wanted to see his face. And he kind of scares me when he looks into the camera, because like he's obviously reading off of a teleprompter,
Yeah.
but just the way he's staring, like I'm like, is he there? Like I feel like his soul is sometimes leaving his body, and like he starts staring into my soul, and I'm just like, but my reaction, I feel like he didn't address the health
Yeah.
concerns that everyone has been like bringing up, like, oh, he's not healthy, he's not stable, like everything COVID. Like he didn't bring up the real reason why he's dropping out.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'm dropping out to save democracy, to save America, like basically like, just I don't know, like he's saving the day kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But
What a martyr.
yeah,
Sanctimonious.
like let's be real, like this was a moment where he could be truly honest, and he was saying like he wants to be honest and things like that, but it's like, are you really being truthful as to why you're leaving?
Right.
So I feel like I wish he would have touched on that. But yeah, everyone was very emotional with it. I mean, I don't understand, but I just saw a lot of reactions like online of like, wow, like we're so proud of you, like this must have been so hard for you.
Yeah. No, that was all of commentary, all of last
Yeah.
night. Who'd you say was crying? Dan Jones, right?
Van Jones.
Oh, Van Jones on
Yeah.
CNN. He was always crying. But yeah, Eddie, do you have the same thoughts on the address last night?
Yeah, it was a big womp womp. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Go, shoo.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Ben is here.
Oh, wow, look who's here.
Ben has shown up.
Benjamin, welcome.
Ben, we were just
welcome.
talking about last night the president speaking from the Oval Office about his decision to drop out. What did you think?
Oh, that was underwhelming.
Yes.
I mean, there was nothing unexpected. There's nothing to, decode or anything like that. It's just him saving. It's the Democratic Party giving him an opportunity to save face.
Right.
And it's just legacy rescue. But really, we got to be real. It's too late. It's too late for him to rescue any kind of reputation that he might have had as being a good leader. Look at what he's done with the immigrant community. When he came in, he undid some of the horrible executive orders that Trump had.
Yeah.
So he's, taking the knife out an inch, to paraphrase Malcolm X, right? But he's done nothing for
I
our
love
community.
that quote.
But the worst thing is the blood of Gaza is on his hands. He's never ever going to be able to live that down.
Yeah.
And he didn't even. He wasn't going to bring that up in his farewell speech.
Yeah, and a legacy that, unfortunately, parts of which Kamala is now going to take with her, as she's now the candidate for the Democrats. So let's get into our Veep stakes. We're gonna have a second Veep stakes this year. I know how we thought this election was gonna be so fucking boring because it's two old men. Are we allowed to cuss on this podcast? But this has been the most non-boring election that we've had just in these past couple months, with all these assassination attempts, disaster of a debate, a president dropping out. But now we have a second Veep stakes. Let me talk about some of the people who are up there. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly. Eddie, who do you have? If you were a betting person, who are you putting your money on today?
Okay, maybe Mark Kelly, because that was Obama's pick to be the nominee.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not Mark Kelly, it's Arizona also, and Arizona has been kind of a big battleground state over the last couple of elections. So I kind of see the logic behind that. I'm gonna go with the dark horse, somebody not named from that list.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Is it Chappell Roan?
Yeah, it's gonna be Chappell Roan. Why not? No, I don't know if Kamala is going to pick Mark Kelly. I don't think that he has a name rec. Neither of the other candidates you mentioned also have the name rec.
Yeah. Besides
But-
maybe Pete Buttigieg. And even then.
Yeah, but Pete also, like when he ran before, really unpopular.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that both Pete and Kamala's parents are Marxist, and now we have like the neoliberal candidates spawned from their seed. But here we are. That's neither here nor there. But if you're listening, Kamala's dad, if you're listening, Pete's dad, I'm with you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. When I have kids, I'm gonna do the opposite of what you guys did. No disrespect. No disrespect. Sometimes you can't control it. Anyways, dark horse. I'm gonna bet none of the above. Somebody else, maybe somebody younger. I think that might help. Obviously, a white guy because he has to go up against Trump. But maybe like a small town mayor or somebody from a Midwest state that's just kind of out of nowhere.
Oh, that's just the image you want. That's the person.
That's what I think is going to happen, yeah.
Well, all the names that have been floated are all politicians. But what about a dark horse from entertainment or from business?
Yeah.
You know, like that's where Trump came out of.
Another billionaire, maybe.
Yeah. Some Elon Musk supervillain type.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So are you betting on anyone?
Oh, I'm stressed thinking about all of this right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, no, I don't. I would never place bets on any of this.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I had to, I don't know. I've been hearing a lot about Josh Shapiro.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like his influence in like Pennsylvania would help Kamala, but honestly, it's so hard to say. Like,
Yeah.
Chappell
Pennsylvania
Roan.
being Chappell Roan. I'm also team Chappell Roan. That is my dark horse from entertainment.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Josh Shapiro is interesting because Pennsylvania is a swing state, so they want to be able to carry it, and that's going to be like vital to Kamala Harris' path to victory. I think Mark Kelly is interesting too. The good thing about Mark Kelly is that because his term doesn't end in 2026, if they were to take him out of the Senate, they have a Democratic governor in Arizona, so they can replace him with another Democrat. So they're not risking their majority in the Senate. But I mean, everyone has like a pro and a con, and I think it's just going to be weighing that in a really short amount of time. I mean, usually campaigns vet vice presidential candidates for months. They have a little less than a month because the convention is on the 26th of August.
I was going to say, I just popped into my head, why not maybe somebody from labor, right? So O'Brien,
Or
right?
an activist. It's probably from the social movement. Like that's what would be throwing a bone to the left, right?
Yeah,
that would be, pandering to the base, kind of. But that's what would excite, young people, activists, and we're the ones that go out and activate other people. That would be a wise decision. I don't think she's gonna do it.
If she's listening to this podcast, Kamala.
Here's if you're listening to this podcast. Chappell Roan is available. I mean, she has a lot going on right now. Do you know who Chappell Roan is, Ben?
I don't. Am I showing my
I don't
non-millennial card?
I don't either. Tamara
Showing
doesn't
my
as
age
well.
here.
So.
Let's go to break. No, we don't go to break on this show. Well, our producer Tamara, who's behind the scenes right now, said that I need to explain some of the pop culture references. And since Ben and Eddie don't know who Chappell Roan is, why don't you tell them who Chappell Roan
is it one of RuPaul's drag queens?
No.
Because
she should be. I mean, she's
yeah.
very much a
good guess.
drag queen. She would self-identify. I think she would be complimented by that. You tell them who Chappell Roan is.
A pop star, a feminist. I mean, she kind of labels herself as like a lesbian pop.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the genre that she goes for. She's just like recently popping off. She's been signed for like a couple years now. I think she was signed when she was 16 or 17 years old.
I think that's true.
Wow.
Yeah, like she was posting on YouTube like covers and stuff, but she just recently blew up at the Gov Ball. Like that's when she dressed up as like the Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
And like she was kind of like making a statement. So
she has aspirations. She expresses through fashion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
She's like a new Lady Gaga.
yeah,
That's what I was thinking of.
She's definitely like a new Lady Gaga. And yeah, like queer pop. I think she's really championing queer pop right now. Her hit song "Good Luck Babe" is about being in love with someone of the same sex and not having that reciprocated because they're not an out person. And that was like, I mean, it was in the top 10. So like that, this is like big stuff. Like this is not just on the sidelines underground. Like she's doing big things right now.
Shut up.
Yeah. So Ben, are you part of the Coconut Hive?
I've been seeing the memes.
You weren't here, but I told Tamara the next time we need Piña Kamalas here to guide our conversations. You're not part of the Coconut. The Coconut Hive, for those who don't know, Kamala Harris has a really famous, really memeable speech where she says, "You think you just fell out of the coconut tree?" And she's really trying to talk about like all this progress has happened in society as a result of a legacy of activism and all of this.
Within the context.
You exist within the context of
all that
that's
has
come.
been.
Yeah, all that's come before you.
Mind you, a very dialectical materialist point that she made right there. Thank you, Kamala's dad.
Yes, yes. Yes. So you're not part of the coconut hive.
Well, I'm definitely part of the context.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
What would be Trump's drink? Like orange juice and piss, or what?
Yeah. Russian urine. Russian hooker urine.
Yeah. Okay,
And
like
maybe
White
it's like a
Russians.
lemon drop.
No.
Maybe because lemon drop is yellow. Maybe that's Russian hooker urine. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I do like some White Russians. Sorry, Russia. Yeah, but I don't know. I think orange juice has to be involved. If we were making a drink for Trump or a Trump-inspired drink,
Maybe like an Aperol spritz, because it's orange.
maybe
And reddish.
like a Blue Ribbon Paps, like one of those like old school American beers, that taste nasty.
All of this to say, next time we need drinks.
Yeah.
Maybe for the watch party, the DNC.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
could do
because it'll
something
be
like that.
after hours.
It'll be after hours, after 5:00.
No.
So do I get a guess for Veep?
Yeah. Oh, you didn't guess. Yes. I thought yours was the dark horse from entertainment.
I don't
But
think
no.
she's gonna do
What
that.
was
George
your
Clooney.
guess?
No, I think I am worried about Shapiro too.
Zionist.
Yeah, and if he was in the Nexus in Succession, that would really cement that Israel U.S.
Yes.
unity thing that like has been, and also cement the stereotypes, right?
Right.
The anti-Semitic stereotypes, which is very, very scary for our Jewish sisters and brothers.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about that, but I do think they will choose somebody in a swing state, not in the West. I think Arizona's too close to California, so they need somebody on the East or Midwest. So that's why I'm thinking Bashir. He's got a little bit of that Appalachian cred that Vance has, and he's not that conservative of a Democrat.
Yeah.
He's taken some somewhat pro-labor stances in his state, and he's been able to win despite Trump, winning the majority. So, that might not be a unwise decision if she were going to lean that way.
I agree. Yeah, there was an anti-trans bill in Kentucky that he didn't sign. He vetoed. And he's able to contrast that Appalachian person that JD Vance spent his whole career trashing and is now trying to appeal to.
I changed my vote. I changed my opinion. Whoever is on a horse. Whoever is on a horse campaigning, that's your winning ticket.
You heard it here first, folks.
But what if she chose AOC?
Oh my
That is not going to happen. That is not.
If she shows Bernie, no, it's not gonna happen.
That is also not going to happen.
They were sticking with Biden.
Yeah.
Stupid.
AOC posted a video ranting on
Like
Instagram,
an hour-long video.
the day before. I think it was on Saturday, right, or on Friday.
It was before he announced.
Yeah,
that he was
yeah,
dropping
yeah.
out,
But she was taking a class analysis approach to the
Definitely.
split, right?
Her concern was that if this were to happen and we were to go into an open primary, it would be the big donors, the corporate interests that were going to be picking the candidate.
Well, that's who picks a candidate anyway.
Yeah, but
That-
she was also saying that Biden was her best shot, which
Yes.
just wasn't true.
It wasn't true, but I think she was also resentful that it was the donor class that was trying to push him out.
Yeah.
And so, Biden was looking for support anywhere that he could get it from, and he got it from Bernie, and he got it from the squad, and a few other people here and there. But
Yeah.
once the donor class has spoken, nobody else has a word. You
Yeah.
know, this whole thing, it really puts democracy into question. I mean, I know we're critical, but did it occur to anybody to let the voters have a decision about who the nominee could be?
Yeah. And I
Did
think
anybody put that forward? Come
I think
on.
their argument is that when people voted in the primary for President Biden, they were also voting for Vice President Kamala Harris, and so she is the natural kind of transition if President Biden were to come out of that
Successor,
ticket.
just
Right.
like a good old monarchy.
Right?
That's how we did it back in the day. Yeah.
Now, the president said yesterday that the good thing about this country is that we're not run by monarchs.
Oh, that's right. Oh, he said it.
He said that
okay.
yesterday. Yeah. Okay. Well, Yaz, Eddie, and Ben, thank you very much. We're going to get the game back together come the DNC in August. I think the DNC is the 19th through the 22nd of August, something like that. And we'll be back then. But in the meantime, keep tuning into La Coalición Podcast.